Rock Robert, I don't know why you're not telling us that it's okay to come to the Philippines, Jennifer. I think you're just being mean to us. Emmer, Gloucester Airport. Gloria Fernandez, simple solution, don't go to the Philippines for now. Right, these comments and all, there are more. These comments gave me the idea of making this video. So my purpose for this video is really just to give you a real talk in traveling to the Philippines. Like things to consider in, is it even worth it? Right? And also in this video, I will clarify on the removal of the quarantine requirement, which we talked about in our video a few days ago. So if you're somebody who is deciding or wanting to travel to the Philippines, consider time. Okay, time is your most important asset, and you're gonna be spending a lot of your time following the rules in the Philippines, from social distancing rules at airports to quarantine upon arrival. So time is surely a factor that you have to consider because you will be spending so much extra time following the rules of the Philippines government for international arrivals. So through the check-in process, you're maybe gonna add in an extra hour because of paper verification, forms to fill out. And when you land in the Philippines, add in at least an extra 2 hours or so, because when you arrive there, there'll be briefing, there'll be verifications of quarantine hotel, COVID testing, you know, there's lots of queues depending of the time you arrive, and most importantly, the time that you will be spending quarantining. See, with the latest IATF Resolution 101, which we talked about in a few days ago, it said that travelers will no longer have to quarantine unless they show COVID symptoms. Look, anyone reading that would interpret it differently. Anyone would say, oh, is this also apply for international arrivals? See, it's, you know, it's very open to interpretation. It's very vague. And so when I made a video about this IATF Resolution 101, I was very careful on what I had to say to you guys. I said I'm not sure if the final destination is removed based on this IATF resolution. So is the final destination quarantine really removed? I will answer that, and the answer is no. See, not all local government units have complied with that yet, right? You see, I called Bureau of Quarantine the other day, and they said that whether travelers will need to quarantine in their final destination is still up to the LGUs, to the local government unit. And I've been contacting several local government units to find out, and I spoke with some people. And then, for example, I called the Davao government, and they were nice, the people I spoke to, but I explained, oh, well, returning overseas Filipinos would still have to quarantine when they arrive in Davao, even though they already quarantined in Manila because of the new IATF resolution. Look, the person told me, we haven't received the executive order on that. And then she referred me to another number, and then that number referred me to another number. At the end, they told me, you have to call the barangay. And like Davao has like, I don't know, like 100 barangays. So I just stopped there. And I moved on to Iloilo. And then I asked, and they said, yes, you still have to quarantine. We'll pick you up at the port and then drop you home. You have to quarantine there for 7 days. Another vlogger did the same thing and called several LGUs, and he got different responses from different LGUs, of which most said, yep, it's still required. People like Johnny in Jensen and Ronald in Davao de Oro, who were in the middle of their quarantine, inquired with their LGUs, with their local government unit, as to the new IATF resolution, inquired whether they still have to continue with their quarantine. And their LGUs said, yes, you still have to finish it. On the other hand, a friend in Zamboanga Del Norte said his LGU no longer requires quarantine when he arrives there. No more quarantine. He had his family I inquired with the LGU and they said you don't have to quarantine anymore as long as you have finished everything in Manila. See, different rules. How do you know then that your final destination will not require you to quarantine again? You have to call them. You have to coordinate with them. You have to, if you have family there in your final destination, or if you have friends there in your final destination, have them go to the barangay hall and ask, would my friend, my family be still required to undergo quarantine when he or she arrives here? So what was the point of that IATF resolution then? Uniform travel protocols. When obviously that's not what's happening. Which takes me to another factor to consider when traveling to the Philippines. Rules, rules, rules. So many rules, they keep changing and sometimes they're not consistent. So see, the thing is, the IATF, the Interagency Task Force, the top policy-making body for pandemic measures in the Philippines, and also the organization that decides quarantine rules. IATF also decides inbound travel restrictions. I see people on the Bureau of Immigration complaining, why do you not open the Philippines? Why you're doing this? Why are you doing that? Guys, the Bureau of Immigration is just an executory agency on this. The IATF decides. They decide and then the Bureau of Immigration implements. That's it. See, there's a pattern on this, and the IATF, from all appearances, the confounding pattern of this government, see, approve the policy first and then consider the possible dire consequences later, leading to unnecessary vexation of the local government unit leaders and confusion to Filipinos, who are already chafing the longest lockdown in the world. So, not all local government units will align with the resolution because some places, some provinces are still having increasing number of COVID cases. And another factor is cost or money. It's not cheap, okay? It's not cheap. From the airplane tickets, it's not cheap, okay? It's more expensive. I've found that going to the Philippines is more expensive than leaving the Philippines. There are limitations on quarantine hotels, quarantine facilities, and that is the reason that, you know, flights are being canceled, flights are being rerouted, and the Philippines, when they give something, they do a travel ban, they give you very limited time to prepare. It could be less than 24 hours. Traveling to the Philippines is really expensive. Consider the cost of your COVID testing, 4,000 pesos or $85 US dollars. There's quarantine hotel for 6 nights, but realistically, it could be 7 nights. Okay, average cost 2,500 pesos times 7. What? That's 17,500 or 364 US dollars. Depending on your preference or strategy, discarte, that may be less or more. But definitely, it's more expensive back in the day. Robert, that somebody who told me I was mean because I wasn't telling people that it's okay to travel to the Philippines. Look, Robert, I am not here to tell people what to do. I just present the information and they can create their own judgment. They can create their own conclusion. There's a comment section there for you guys to discuss. It's there for you. Whatever you want to say, go and say it. Just don't be mean with others though. And at the end of the day, people who really need or want to travel to the Philippines are willing to pay, comply with the rules, with the quarantine, even if it's crazy sometimes. People who want to be reunited with their families, with their partners, who wants to be reunited with their sick and old parents. See? So I can't tell people to travel or not. I just present the information. So that is all for this video, friends. I'm sorry if it's 50% rant. I'll see you again with another update. Bye.